Jedi, of course, Rob DiLauro. With me, as always, is Miss Di Marie. Di, what's going on?
Hey, Puddin', happy to be here.
And, of course, Miss Harley Quinn herself. Jenna, what's going on?
Not too much.
So if you guys haven't figured out the motif yet, we're actually very excited because ever since I started this channel, I have wanted to talk about Harley Quinn from the very beginning. And now we finally get that opportunity, of course, to honor the upcoming release of the Suicide Squad, which is unfortunately coming out in the UK first. Boo. No, I'm just kidding. Love you guys in the UK. Thank you guys for your continued love and support when it comes to the show. And please like and subscribe. It helps us get out to more people. Really do appreciate everything. And we're going to start off with Top Jedi before we get into the Harley Quinn fun. So Diana, what is going on in Top Jedi?
Big news for Exorcist fans. So Universal is investing $400 million to revive the Exorcist universe. Linda Blair reported on Twitter that she hasn't been contacted to be on the show, but she does give her blessings and well wishes. So Ellen Burstyn is going to be reprising her role as Chris McNeil, who is, of course, Reagan's mom. Jason Blum is going to be overseeing the franchise, which is awesome. And we did get a release date for the first movie, which will be on October 13th of 2023, which is amazing. These movies are going to be directed by David Gordon Green, who is currently working on the Halloween series. So yeah, I just think that this is amazing. The original Exorcist was released 50 years ago in 1973. And the fact that we're still talking about it today and that there's plans to revive this story is awesome.
There's actually some news when it comes to Top Jedi in regard to Predator. Now, if you don't remember, there was a rumor circling around in the mill for over a year that they had actually filmed a Predator kind of prequel that's, very sort of Milan based, but it involves a Native American girl who, is kind of shunned, for wanting to be a warrior. And, meanwhile, you have all this Predator chaos going on throughout this Native American reservation. And it turns out that's all true. There was actually an interview they did with the producers of Jungle Cruise, and they were saying that they were, producers on this particular film, and that was all the truth. Like, it's like a third done. They don't know whether or not it's going to be PG or PG-13. Predator is a reality. Predator Skull. I don't know if the lawsuit that was going on with that is going to actually conflict anything when it comes to release or anything like that, but I don't know. It seems really fascinating. And it seems like, even though Disney, there was a fear when Disney actually picked up these properties that they weren't going to do the right things with them.
Right.
And it seems like they know what they're doing. They're trying some different things that Predator never did. And, and like you have a whole, just vast world, just even in that regard. Like Predators have been hunting since the dawn of time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So there's plenty of story there, and I'd love to see all of them. Colonial days, pirate days, cowboy days. That'd be amazing. Diana, what's next in Top Jedi?
So American Horror Story just released a new teaser trailer for a double feature, which is going to be the 10th season of the series. Again, this is going to be in two parts. The first one is going to be called Red Tide, and the second part will be Death Valley. We got a look at the creatures from Red Tide. It looks like a weird shark humanoid creature, or maybe a siren. And then we saw some aliens coming in there and them going at it. It was a very sexual, violent teaser there. So as we know, with these type of trailers, these don't actually happen in the season, so it's probably just setting the mood for what's to happen. But I think that's going to be really interesting. I don't know what you guys think, but this will be premiering on FX on August 25th next month.
So if you guys ever watched a double feature of like The Shape of Water and then Signs and just thought, man, that's hot, this looks like the show for you.
Yeah.
Excellent. I'm in. We just got the new trailer for the new Chucky show from Sci-Fi, which I am so stoked about this. So it shows, like it starts off talking about Halloween and remembering our first Halloween or whatever. And it shows this young boy that's named Jake. And he is at a garage sale, and he looks over and there's Chucky, the doll, like sitting there all pristine, all nice and looking.
And the woman at the yard sale asks him, like, I guess you're into nostalgia. And he goes, no, I'm actually more into retro.
Yep. And so he picks up this doll, he takes it home, and then things start going awry. And so he's like, he looks at the battery pack. It just shows him like opening up a battery pack. There's no batteries in it. He's taking this thing to school. People are bullying him. And like the whole time that he's getting bullied, you're like, Chucky is gonna kill all these people. And he even makes a reference to that a little bit later in the preview for it. And it's a 3-minute long preview. So like,
he's at like some assembly or talent show or something, and he's on the microphone and he says, like all of you thought you were funny because, like picking on, this and that. So, like now you're all going to pay. And, I think the most interesting thing when I saw this trailer is it seems like, I don't know if I'm right on this or not, but it seems like he's just hanging out with the two brothers, like playing video games and.
Absolutely. Just hanging out, just partying and killing probably everyone. So like, I'm really excited about this. They're also bringing back Jennifer Tilly, which
yes.
Guys, I can't stress that enough, but
yeah.
So I'm so stoked about seeing Jennifer Tilly in this. Any way that I can get her, I do not care. Brad,
I'm curious what incarnation she's going to be.
I don't know, but I'm really excited. I know that, like, again, I will take Jennifer Tilly in any way, shape, or form that I can get Jennifer Tilly. Period. I love her.
Jenna, we had some awesome. Well, you know what? Let's be honest. We saw someone wearing the armor that looked very reminiscent of a certain bat from the Zack Snyderverse. So what is going on in Top Jedi?
Yeah, so we have some behind the scenes photos, a little more behind the scene photos of Ben Affleck's Batman, and he's riding a motorcycle or what it seems to be some sort of bat cycle. And it's like fully armored, and he's fully armored, and he looks freaking fantastic, and it looks so tactical, and he looks like he's about ready to ride into battle. It seems like there's a lot of really cool scenes that are going to happen with like this tactical Batman kind of look.
Well, a lot of people were saying that the actual person you're looking at is a stuntman, but like obviously it would make sense that it would be Ben Affleck's stuntman because of the size, and of course like the way the armor looks is more reminiscent of a Zack Snyder movie than a Tim Burton film. So as we did with Black Widow, we are dedicating 2 weeks to Harley Quinn, DC, and of course James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, which again, as we said before, it seems like a masterpiece of a superhero film. I'm really excited that it's getting the reception that it's getting. Of course, when you talk about the Suicide Squad, you have to talk about one of the main members of Task Force X, which of course is Harley Quinn. Harley and Quinzel. And what a legacy she's had. Harley Quinn was somebody that I connected to as a young lad watching Batman the Animated Series. She was introduced in 1992. Her episode, of course, was The Joker's Favor. That was her main introduction. She was originally played by Arlene Sorkin, and she was kind of inspired by one of the creators. Bruce Timm had a friendship that was a friend who was in an abusive relationship. And I guess he, garnered some inspiration from that. And then, of course, Arlene herself also dressed like a clown in one of the soap operas that she had done.
Yeah, it was Days of Our Lives, I believe. And she was dressed up in this like pink and purple style, like Harlequin jester costume, and yeah, they kind of gave like took Harley from that, is like, because it was kind of like the mismatched, you know, purple and pink and
yeah
that. So yeah, they kind of took some inspiration from that costume. I still want to make that one just because it's such a like
it's
iconic
historic
thing now.
yeah, it's historic. I mean, there would be no Harley without that particular outfit from Days.
And
you're
also
right.
I believe that Arlene Sorkin's character was also a little bit of the inspiration as well for Harley.
Absolutely. Yeah, so you know, like it was just this like this recipe that, you know, just came together, and you know, we got Harley Quinn. And I guess they weren't exactly banking on her being as huge as she was when she first came to the scene. I think, you know, she was basically, you know, she was Mark Hamill's punching bag is what she was pretty much. And then of course, as the Batman animated series went on, you know, Harleen and Harley herself, her alter ego, I guess got more personality as, you know, as the series went on. But for the most part, I just remember Joker beating the shit out of her.
Yeah.
And then of course, if you guys aren't familiar, she was actually one of the first and only characters to move from television to the printed page. And you know, she was of course introduced in DC Comics, and that is where, you know, her story unfolded. At first, you know, again, just like, you know, the animated series, she was kind of like, you know, she was a slave, she was a Harley Quinn. And then of course, you know, like had this evolution as time went on, where we actually saw her evolve not only as a woman, her, you know, seeing her sexuality blossom, seeing her strength, you know, just, you know, become more and more prominent as time went on. It really was, you know, just so brilliantly done. You know, to, you know, have a character, you know, at her lowest base level for the most part, even though she's brilliant, and, you know, like, you know, did work for Arkham Asylum, and, you know, did do a lot of like really like, you know, just technical research, you know, when it came to, you know, trying to gauge the Joker and his emotions and, you know, this and that. So she's no slouch and she's no dummy. You know, so I mean, that's what toxic, you know, that's what toxic relationships do. I mean, it doesn't matter how brilliant you are, how beautiful you are, how whatever you are, you know, you're not going to, you know, feel that way, because, you know, you're constantly getting bogged down to believe that you're lesser than. And that was kind of like Harley Quinn in the beginning. But like we said, there was an evolution throughout the years, and that turned into video game series, you know, with the Arkham games. And then, of course, Miss Margot Robbie, you know, made Harley Quinn a movie star, and really just, you know, proved that that character has, you know, just as much longevity as the Joker himself. So where did that love for Harley stem from? And, you know, like, you know, why did she inspire you so much, you know, in regards to why you love that character?
So I didn't like Harley at all. Like
That's interesting.
I didn't like her at all for the longest time. And it wasn't until I went and saw Suicide Squad that it kind of like made me go, okay, maybe the reason why I don't like this character is because she reminds me too much of me. And actually one of my best friend since grade school ended up like, we always kind of like brainstorm and like kind of be each other's therapists. And for a hot second, she was like, you do realize that her costume in Suicide Squad is something that you have worn in the past, right? You realize that, right? And I was like, huh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay, that's freaky. Yeah, you're right. And she's like, and the relationship that she had with the Joker is so similar to your trauma and your past that you can't handle looking at her because it triggers you, because it's like, oh no, this is too close to home. I can't deal with this. And I was like, about that moment was the moment where I was like, oh no, yeah, I actually really like her. Yeah, that's it. So it was just like, she was too similar to me that it made me look in a mirror, and I couldn't handle that emotionally. So I was like, ugh. And then whenever I went to go see the movie, like I actually was in the theater, like having mini panic attacks through it, because like it was so similar to past abusive relationships that I've been in. And I was just like, I don't think I can move. And like I didn't dress up as Harley, I dressed up as Enchantress. And so like I was in my girl over here, and like that kind of helped me a little bit, because I was like, no, I'm Enchantress, not Harley. But like once I started really realizing it, like looking deep into it, I was like, oh no, she's too similar to me. This is really weird. And now I have about like 63 Harleys.
Yeah.
Just cosplays, that's it. And like like that created the domino effect, that where I was like, I have to know everything about her. I have to like watch everything that she was in, read all the comics. Like I just had to like engulf myself in her presence, because I was just like, yeah, I love this girl.
Di, same question. Like, where did you get your love for this character in regards to, obviously the, same fandom that you have as all of us here?
So when I was younger, my brother would give me a lot of video games. So around the time when I believe it was Arkham Asylum that came out, I just played it randomly and I was like, oh my God, like I love this character. And at the time that Harley Quinn came into my life, I was studying psychology in school. So that was awesome. So at the time when Harley came into my life, I was going through an abusive relationship myself. And at that point, it was physical. So just learning about that character, it helped me relate to her a lot, because I was like, okay, like I don't know. It just kind of felt like I could escape, and I was also able to relate with her at the same time. So just in that point of my life, when I was so young and naive, I was so eager to like meet somebody to love me that I didn't really care what they did to me, even though it was abusive. Now that I'm older, just like Harley, like I can see the patterns and I know what's wrong. I know how to stand up for myself now. So yeah, when it comes to like relationships and things like that, she definitely helped me out a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when it comes to me, it was I don't know. As a guy, as a young guy, I related to her in regards to the fact of going through sexual abuse, wrestling with sexuality, feeling like I was everybody's punching bag. I was always told that if I, like use my mind, if I put my mind to something, that I can do some pretty great things, but I was never necessarily told that I could do anything like that. Like if I was pressing my little face against the screen when the president was talking or something, nobody said, well, that can be you someday. Nobody ever said anything like that to me. So I always felt lesser than in that regard, and just felt like there's some sort of pressure cooker there that could have, went either way in regard to, what I do with my life. There was a rage there, and there was a, like all this kind of stuff. And, I also kind of stuffed that down with these horrible relationships where, like, I not necessarily that I felt like I enjoy. It's not like I enjoyed getting stepped on, but I don't know. That's like pretty much all I knew. You know what I mean? So I would, just go from one horrible relationship to another, because that was the vicious cycle. And like I just, there were so many different, nuances of that particular character, especially, like when we're talking about like in comic book form and all the different incarnations she had within. I always felt like that was a female character that I can relate to very well. I wanted to ask you guys as well, out of all the, many moments like in comics and video games and all this stuff, is there anything that like, really like stands out for you? Like I know Suicide Squad for you, Jenna, was like a huge thing. But is there anything else that like, really just kind of stands out when it comes to just the full pantheon of Harley?
The TV show.
The one with Kaley Cuoco?
Yeah, I love the TV show.
Me too.
I think that they are doing such a really good job on it. I think Kaley is doing such an amazing job. And some people were like pissy because her accent or whatever. I'm like, no, she's one of my favorite Harleys now, because like she just embodies her entirely. Like,
yeah, Kaley did a wonderful job. And like they announced that there is going to be another season of that. So that's awesome. And there's going to be an offshoot comic coming out soon called the Love, Sex, and Death Tour, I think it was.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a great incarnation of that character for sure. And honestly, like, Margot is fantastic at what she's doing, but I think there are quite a few more nuances to Kaley Cuoco's version that
I agree.
Are pretty detailed in terms of like the full puzzle, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you find out who her family is, and like we actually literally go into her mind, when it comes to her psyche, and she's.
Oh, I loved that episode.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I love Harley Quinn, the animated series. What about you, Di? Like, what was like one moment that really like stuck out for you when it comes to like Harley Quinn? You said the video games were obviously like a big part of it. Like, did you read the comics or any of that stuff? Or
I did read some of Suicide Squad, so I will admit the portion where her and Deadshot got together, I thought that was really weird, but she rubbed it in Joker's face to make him PO'd, so good for
she
her.
got together with a lot of people except for Scarecrow. DC, make it happen.
Yeah, she never got together with Jonathan Crane. You're right. Yeah.
Give me that. Give me that.
But yeah, and like the video games, I love them. There was Harley's Revenge. It's been a long time since I played those games, so I forget exactly what happens in that storyline, but Harley's Revenge was awesome. The Gotham Sirens, where she partners up with Catwoman and Ivy, was pretty badass. And to be honest, I think that Birds of Prey was criminally underrated.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Everything about that movie was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I definitely agree with that.
It's going to be a cult classic, I think. It's so good. It's so good.
I think it was one of those things that unfortunately got, caught up in a situation of, Margot Robbie said, flat out before the movie came out that, this wasn't going to be, a movie for the male gaze. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's actually going to have some, like true solid female characterization, and nobody's going to be wearing like anything that was like, really revealing or sexual or any of that stuff. And I think that's what people were expecting for some reason with the Harley, with, her own film, and people didn't get that. And like, they just, they
expected TNA for 2 hours.
No.
For whatever reason, for whatever reason, I guess they expected that. And then again, like it's caught up in, a situation of, this is a female based, quote unquote, superhero film or whatever. And, it just really got caught up in some really toxic stuff, unfortunately. And I think Birds of Prey is a masterpiece. I think it's wonderful. I think, just, seeing a broken Harley Quinn who is, picking up the pieces after losing Joker, and, and being so much in peril, just for the sheer fact of, I'm not with my pudding anymore. So every single person in Gotham wants to murder me because we just did some really, really heinous shit to like the entire city. I just thought it was all so wonderful. And, just seeing her, the thing is, she never lost her strength. I mean, obviously she goes in the GCPD and she just wipes it out. You know what I mean?
Oh God, I love that. Here, Piggy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just wish that Birds of Prey came out maybe like 5-7 years ago, and I was just a broken little die, and I didn't know my way, and I didn't know my strength yet. That's the movie that I would have needed back then. But
Yes.
I'm really happy that it's out now. So girls that are going through that now, or will be going through that in the future, will be able to have that to fall back on.
Agreed.
Yes, I'd like to report a crime.
I love that.
I loved that scene so much.
Yeah, she was amazing. She was absolutely amazing. And dare I say, you know, like she gave an award-winning performance. Some people might not agree. I definitely do. I definitely think she should have been nominated for something.
Margot proved that she is Harley Quinn in this movie. The dedication and the passion that she showed in this character, she absolutely owned it, and she should have gotten a lot more kudos for the work that she did.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's you know, that's just somebody who, you know, just embodies that character. I mean, you know, like I'm certain there's going to be quite a few, you know, like, you know, maybe some changings of the guard, you know, like sadly through the years or whatever, maybe somebody else takes it on, you know, but, you know, I mean, like I personally, I would never be able to see anybody else playing Harley but Margot Robbie because of what she brings to that character.
That's true.
And just like every single
Except
time that
Jenna.
you see her. Yeah.
Hire me.
Yeah. But every time you see her, you know, like she makes that character just, you know, not even just sing, but it makes it more real. You know what I mean? And I think, you know, that was one of the things that I heard about the reviews for the Suicide Squad is she's probably at her realest right now in this particular film. Like she is, you know, very human, you know, even like in this like kind of offbeat, off the wall world that, you know, around her or whatever, but she, you know, is definitely, she's definitely got more humanity to her. So aside from us, like, you know, us as fans, like, why do you think she makes such a huge impact just like abroad, like world, like, you know, like broad, like when it comes to the full scope of her fandom? Like why do you think she resonates so much?
Just as a woman, there's so many qualities about her that we can relate to. So I just think that that just makes her reach to the fans so important, because we don't have a lot of female characters that have that much dimension that we can relate to, if that makes sense. So I think that that's why she's so important to the fandom.
I think so. I definitely agree.
Yeah,
Jenna,
I agree too.
What's your take on why she's so huge in scope when it comes to just her fandom, not just us, you know, sitting here?
Right.
You know.
I think that it's a lot to do with what Di said. I also feel like DC has also realized early on that she's gonna be a cash cow, and they're just like, you know, they immediately started giving her a personality, and like she's one of the first like characters that I really not that I like was a fan of her beforehand, but like I always knew that she had like more of a personality. And I think that's why like I didn't like her right out of the gate, is because she had such a personality similar to mine. So that resonated with me, as well as like the fact that she had a already molded personality and character that they nurtured and grew throughout the years. I also think like her costumes, the fact that she has so many variations, she's so like crafty, like Birds of Prey, the confetti jacket or the caution tape jacket, like it was made to look like she created it herself, which me as someone that does create things themselves, I enjoy that aspect of it. I enjoy that there are storylines behind her costumes.
We're getting ready to review the Suicide Squad next week together. What do you think is going to happen with Harley in this movie? Like, what are your thoughts?
I think they're probably going to leave it open-ended.
I was going to say the exact same thing, because of the fact that, like, we know that Margot needs to take a break from her, which is totally respectable. I get it.
Yeah.
But she's also been very vocal about how she wants a Sirens movie. So I think they're going to leave it open-ended as well because of those reasons.
So that's our show, guys. You know, like, we really hope that we were able to, you know, give as much love to Harley as possible. I mean, you know, like, we're talking about, you know, just a lifespan that has gone on since 1992. I can't wait until we get to review the Suicide Squad together. I'm really excited to, you know, hear what you have to say about that. I know we're super, super stoked about it. And again, like I said, you know, like, it just, you know, just the idea of it being that great of a film, like, just really puts a smile on my face every single time I think about it. I'm just like, just grinning from ear to ear. I absolutely love it.
I'm so ready.
Absolutely love it. But yeah, so we're going to be reviewing the Suicide Squad next week. Maybe there'll be some Harleys here. I don't know. Maybe some Peacemakers. I guess you'll have to find out. Don't get too attached to any of us. But anyway, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much for your continued love and support. And we'll see you next week. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.